DC Multiverse!
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Brad the DC Universe Geek. I don't usually start videos off like this, looking at the camera. You can't usually see my face. That's actually becoming more and more of a rarity these days. But I wanted to start this one a little bit different because, as you know, I do a lot of action figure reviews. Well, I used to do a lot of action figure reviews. I put out a lot less content as of late. And I'm actually way behind on a pile of DC Multiverse action figures. And so rather than work away and make, 2-3 figures in one video kind of content, I would figure it might be kind of fun to just bang them all off in one mega review. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to review all of the figures that I'm going to put before you in my review bench here in one video. So the review is going to be fast and furious. We're not going to do the articulation. We are just going to have a look at the paint applications and the likeness of the character. They're just going to be my initial and overall thoughts on each figure and the pack in general. So with that being said, let's move forward. So let's get this started with the McFarlane Toys Collector's Edition Simon Baz Green Lantern, who comes with a snazzy trading card with the same image as the back of the box. There's that data file on the back as always. Here is one of the face plates that he comes with. You got a smiling, teethy face, and then we have another teethy face. That is his gritting, angry, I'm fighting a bad guy face. And then of course he has a bunch of Green Lantern constructs and a lantern. Here is the lantern. I do wish that the lantern was not the same as the constructs. I wish that more care was paid to the lantern to actually paint this or mold it in a green plastic that is not the same as a construct. Here is a drill attachment construct for his hand, a punching power fist construct that again you can fit over his hand, and a hammer for smashing and bashing. And overall, in likeness to Simon Baz, I don't think that they did a very bad job with this. Here is Simon Baz's basic neutral face plate. And just to give you an idea how easy it is to change these off, you just pull the face plate off like that, and then you pop the new one just on like that. And they fit like so. All right, I might as well show you what he looks like as well with the other gritty teeth face sculpt attached as well. But overall, they get the color scheme pretty on par with how he actually looks. If you bend his articulation down, you can actually see that they do get the bottom half of his green part of his suit there correct. I do wish, one thing that they did different, I do wish that they actually colored in the inside of his lantern symbol white as opposed to a light green. It's nice that they included his tattoo right here on his forearm. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that he comes with a stand, but really, pretty much all of these figures are going to come with a stand. Now, there is a platinum version of this figure that was released as well. This one here looks almost exactly the same, only very different. Okay, as far as the color scheme goes, it is completely different. But as far as the actual lines of the deco, where, the new colors are put on the figure, then it's exactly the same. Okay, listen, I'm not a smart man. This platinum edition of Simon Baz is actually a character called Solomon Baz, and he is the Simon Baz of Earth 3. The paint deco on mine is a little wonky. You can see on the front here, where all these lines are supposed to look neat and tidy. Well, they don't. And I have exactly no idea what is going on with all this weird paint application on his arm. I think that somebody showed up drunk to work at the action figure factory that day, because this is just weird. I can remove it with acetone, but it's just strange. So here you have, the first face plate with him having a pretty much neutral facial expression. Here he is looking fairly amused, and here he is not amused. He actually came with the exact same trading card as the previous one, and it would have been neat if they had to put an actual picture of Solomon Baz on the platinum trading card, but they didn't. And as you can see, he comes with all of the exact same constructs. And just to keep it in the Green Lantern wheelhouse, we're going to move on to 2 more Green Lantern action figures, 4, technically, if you count the extra swappable heads, with the DC Collector's Edition Green Lantern Corps Toma Ray and Arkiss Chummuck. Now clearly you can see before you I've got the platinum and the regular figures out of the packaging. Arkiss, who also came with the Green Man head, was the platinum, while Tomare with the Abin Sur head was the regular release. A major difference between both of these releases is the fact that the Tomare release, the regular release, has a more modern style Green Lantern uniform, while the Arkiss release, the Platinum, actually has a bit more of an old school Green Lantern type uniform paint scheme. Now, while both figures did come with a trading card, I've only got one on the screen, and that's because they both came with the exact same trading card, which is, as always, the same image as the back of the box. And the back has just a little bit of a data file, some of the lore, if you will, of the Green Lantern Corps. Each figure comes with the exact same accessories, so they each come with this ring that has a blast coming out of it, like that. They each come with a Green Lantern shield construct, and they clip onto Green Lantern's arms pretty easy. They also each come with this here projection of one of the Guardians of the Galaxy coming out of the ring, presumably communicating with whichever Green Lantern is in question, and a plethora of other hands that can be attached to the body. And they both come with a lantern construct that is actually different than the one that comes with Simon Baz. See, the one on the right here is Simon Baz's, and the one on the left, well, that's the one that belongs with Tomare or Green Man or whomever's head you have on the body. And then, of course, we have each figure. This one, as you've seen, it's the one with the more modern style Green Lantern uniform. This is my favorite look for a Green Lantern. The close-up of the suit, you can see it kind of looks like it's, you know, like Grandma knitted them a sweater. That's what Todd's gone with the, for the, you know, Green Lantern outfits. You know, like you can see every fiber in the suit. I would rather it be smooth, to be honest, but, you know, I'll take it. And then, of course, we have the Tomare head sculpt. Not too shabby, actually looks pretty good. Looks like the likeness of Tomare has been captured pretty well. I would give that head sculpt a good solid 9 out of 10 for sure. And then when we pop Abin Sur on there, I really like that. That is so cool. They've done a great job with Abin Sur. I don't have any complaints about this whatsoever, and the skin texture looks fantastic, and there's a nice wash in it. This is great. This is probably one of their best head sculpts. Wow, am I saying that about an Abin Sur head sculpt when I wish I could be saying that about a Superman or something? I guess I am. This looks great. And then here we have Arkiss. Some people, this is their jam. They like the whole no green over the shoulders look, like he's wearing Andre the Giant's one-piece wrestling suit, you know, down there. And that's awesome too. I mean, that was the Green Lantern I grew up with, except for he did have the shoulder pieces. So if you were to kind of mix these two bodies together, you would get the Green Lantern that I grew up with that had both. But anyway, this is, you know, it is what it is. You've seen it up, you've seen the, you know, the fabric up close and everything, so you don't really need me to go through that. Let's just cut straight to the chase of the head sculpts. And what do we have here? Sorry, just had to lighten that a little bit. We have a fantastic head sculpt of Arkiss. I think that looks great. I like this a lot. It looks like the Wolfman. And they've done a great job with the mask and the eyes and the hair sculpt. Just fantastic. This is a really good job that McFarlane's done on this. And now I've gone ahead and I've popped the Green Man's head sculpt on there. And again, this is fantastic. He's done a great job with all of these Green Lantern head sculpts. They are truly fantastic. I like these one heck of a lot. But really, both of these figures do a fantastic job of representing the simplicity of the Green Lantern Corps' outfit and its character selection. I hope we get more of these, for real. Okay, so let's do another Green Lantern related character, Sinestro. Or as the trading card says, Parallax Sinestro. Yep, that's who we're gonna be looking at now. Here's that data file bio on the back. Let's just zoom in there a little bit, give you a chance to read that if that's what you want to do. And this is the lone accessory that he comes with. It's, I'm not entirely sure what that is, if I'm being honest. What is that? I appear to have encountered a gap in my knowledge. Anyway, looks cool though. And then, of course, we have the Parallax figure, which has actually been made on a body that has been used multiple times before. Stand up. Stop ratcheting yourself so you fall on your face. Woohoo! Because it was used for a Hal Jordan Parallax figure, not once, but twice. And I happen to have only the first release. I don't have the special one that had translucent parts, and some would argue a better color scheme than the original. And no, this head sculpt didn't actually originally come on the body. It's actually a head sculpt that I got from my Instagram friend, Customs by Martin. He does fantastic, beautiful work. His paint work is just awesome. I am blown away. You know my thoughts, anyone who's been here for a while. Anyone that is reasonably good at painting a head sculpt is basically a small g low-level demigod as far as I'm concerned, because I can't do this to save my life. But here we can see, again, that this is the exact same body mold that was used for Parallax Hal Jordan, and now it's being used for Parallax Sinestro. Personally, I think that this is a great reuse of this body mold, and it works really stinking well for Sinestro. Like, I have zero complaints about them using this body mold over again for Parallax Sinestro. Is it completely accurate to the artwork? That's debatable, questionable, not completely really. But hey, we do get a brand new head sculpt for this Sinestro action figure, albeit he's got a gray stripe on the top there. We do get a new head sculpt, and some people may argue that this is a better head sculpt than the first Sinestro head portrait that we received with our first McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Sinestro figure. Again, on the actual figure, I've got another Customs by Martin head sculpt on there, and it looks friggin' fantastic. Fantastic paintwork, again, by Martin. But just to compare both of these head sculpts to each other, I mean, which one do you think is better? The first one on the right or the new one on the left? Another notable difference between this figure and the Hal Jordan figure that uses this is that this cape is really skishy, and I like how skishy it is. Now, while I am more of a fan of the classic yellow and black Sinestro uniform, this one still looks pretty good. I mean, comparing the two, which one do you like better? Classic or overpowered? And now, you know what? Since we've done a bunch of Green Lantern characters, why not do Effigy as well? Because Effigy is, you know, he's tied to the Green Lantern mythos, right? I mean, he was one of Kyle Rayner's main villains for a while there. For those of you who want to see the trading card up close, well, here it is. As usual, same image as the back of the box. And this is a bio that I'm sure probably a bunch of you will want to read, because it actually tells you who this character is. And I'm sure that there are probably quite a few of you out there who really don't know. Effigy comes with this accessory. You attach it to his hands. It's a fire blast. And this accessory. It's another fire accessory that you attach to his hand, and it's like a fire punch accessory. As for other Effigy figures, the only other one that I've ever seen is this old school DC Direct Effigy. This old school guy really is quite basic. Like, the articulation on this guy, he's a product of the times, what can I say? And he's got a loose, wibbly leg, so it's hard to get him to stand up without falling down. Oh, I've actually never noticed that on his back, that he has that symbol there. I've owned this thing for years and never noticed. How have I never noticed that? This one don't got it. He don't got the snazzy symbol on his back. Well, that's an immediate difference right there. Those of you at home with a keen eye will recognize where the bulk of this body buck comes from. It comes from the Lightning Superman. The only real difference is the forearms. This guy actually has newly sculpted gauntlets right here, where Soups just has these. Well, this was ridiculous. This shouldn't even been here, but he's got these wrist cuffs. And of course, the other major difference being the head sculpt. And when I zoom in, the colors have changed. That looks weird. Anyway, you can see it up close. You can see it almost has Joker-esque qualities to it. And you got that clear, fiery hair. Yeah, I think that Todd's team did a pretty massive job in creating this head sculpt, this facial structure for Effigy. With this figure, of course, we see the old McFarlane trick that they play as far as, You know, the paint deco, the front has this sort of wash over it, like a light brown sort of wash, and that's over the torso as well as the arms and the legs, all in the front. But then the back, niet. There's nothing. There is no wash. And one of the things that I say quite often is that I would really like to see McFarlane Toys continue their shadows or highlights. For whatever reason they're doing this dry brush paint wash, I'd like to see them continue it on the front and the back of each figure, not just the front. And just before I end Effigy's portion of the video, I thought that I would slide in a Kyle Rayner just so you can get an idea of how these two characters scale against one another, as, you know, you would probably end up posing Effigy alongside, or against rather, Kyle Rayner on your shelf. Okay, moving on to the next one. We have the classic character, the Question, with whom, as you can see, also comes with a trading card with an image of the Question on it. I do kind of wish that the image on the trading card, you know, matched the figure as far as the color palette goes. Here is a nice lengthy bio on the back for Vic Sage, the Question, which you can feel free to pause and read if you'd like to. Other than that, we just have the figure. He didn't come with any accessories. Those of you wondering where the body buck came for this figure, well, you're looking at it right here. It actually is a really nice, really clever reuse of the Heath Ledger Joker action figure from The Dark Knight. You can actually see it's a complete reuse. The vest, the tie, the shirt, the jacket, the pants, the shoes, it's all 100% reused. And I think that that is fantastic. That is a great way to make a few extra bucks out of the exact same body buck and do a completely different character and have it look astonishingly different, even though it's the same sculpt, because the colors are so different. The only difference is that while Joker has this here chain hanging down, we get no such thing with the Question. And this was a figure that I really, really wanted. I'm so glad I got my hands on. The Question's a fantastic character. Let's check out that face sculpt up close, shall we? Adjust my exposure, have a little peekaroo at it. There you go. You're looking at it. There's no real detail there. It's just his face mask that covers his face there. You got some shadow from the hat that's been painted on there to simulate, well, a shadow. And around the back, you've got his hair and the rest of his hat. There's not really much to it, like, to talk about other than the fact it's blue. It's blue, it's yellow, and it's the Question. And now let's move on to Earth 2 Robin. This is basically what Robin from the original Batman and Robin and Detective Comics series from way back when grows up into. This is Little Dick turned into a Big Dick. Here's a closer look at the trading card with some fantastic artwork of Earth 2 Robin. And for those of you who might not be familiar with this version of Dick Grayson, well, here's a nice little bio on the back, and you can feel free to pause and read that one if you'd like as well. He also comes with a little green batarang and two getcha grabby strangly hands. And because it's a Fidgetal, you get this here McFarlane Toys digital scratch-off redemption code here as well. Now this Robin does come with two head sculpts as well. The initial head sculpt is the one that I think I like the best. It's the one that I'm the most familiar with, where the green goes up and covers, you know, like the whole top of his head. This one I definitely like better, and they did a good job on it. But for some of you, this might be the head sculpt that tickles your fancy. You might want to keep this one on the body, which has a fantastic hair sculpt. He's got a very Batman / Green Lantern style mask on, and this might be the one that you are the most familiar with. I really like the big Robin symbol on his chest. It looks nice and clear and classic like the old style version. And this figure is actually made off of the Nightfall Batman body buck. It's basically, aside from the newly sculpted belt area on the trunks and the modified gauntlets that don't have the scallops, it's basically just the exact same body that they've used multiple times on multiple Batman figures, and even on a few others. Still, it's a pretty sharp looking figure. I really like it. And it also comes with a nice bright yellow cloth cape. Not too keen on the shiny fabric they chose. I really wish that they would choose a different fabric rather than this. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's also I don't know. It's shiny, right? So it looks just a little bit campy. And I feel like they've given us enough cape that we can be content with it. And it also has wires. And unlike most other Robin capes, this one's also got, accurate to the source material, scallops on the bottom. This might not be the Robin that you're the most familiar with, but definitely it can't really be argued that this is not an eye-catching version of the character. That is for sure. Okay, and next up we have Commander Steel, a character that, again, I'm sure most of you will know, but some of you may not be super familiar with. This dude is not exactly an A-lister in the DC universe. He's definitely a deep cut from McFarlane Toys. If you're not exactly sure who this character is, well, feel free to pause the video and read this here bio about Henry Hank Haywood III. This figure also comes with some interchangeable hands as accessories. As you can see, this is not the first use of the same body buck that Commander Steel is using. Originally, it was the Speeding Bullets body buck, and then later it was modified and retooled in certain areas to become a naked body buck of sorts, and they made the Black Lightning action figure out of it. Something that I definitely think looks weird about this figure, and I don't really see how they could have done it any different. You have this here socket piece right here in his arm, and the blue doesn't continue, because how could they? Because then you'd always be lining it up. And furthermore, there's actually a space between where it's painted and where it's not. I feel like that could have at least been continued all the way through. But hey, paint costs money and they're trying to save money, so I guess I understand why that looks a little bit wonky. But other than that, I mean, I think that it's a fairly good attempt at creating a Commander Steel action figure. I mean, hey, the paint applications on the chest look pretty good. They look pretty crisp. And the face sculpt, I also really like this face sculpt. I think that it also looks pretty good. The paint applications are where they're supposed to be, and it looks like Commander Steel. So, yeah. I guess I do kind of wish that they had just gone with a basic naked body buck so we didn't end up with these stripes down the side of his leg, down his arm, and also down his side here. But I think overall it looks pretty good. And now we have a tale of two Lightning Lads. One from the modern era and one from days gone by. What do I mean by that? Well, the regular release of Lightning Lad, as you can see on this side, is the current contemporary version of Lightning Lad. And our lighter skinned compadre over here of the platinum variety, well, that's what he used to look like. Well, mostly. I mean, this is the DC Universe Classics version of Lightning Lad that came in the 12-pack. And he looks a little bit more like what old-timers like myself would associate Lightning Lad with looking like. He's a ginger, and Lightning Lad was always a ginger. See? You can see there. This college frat boy looking dude has red hair. Not this one. He's got brown hair. What is with the de-gingification of comic book characters in TV shows, movies, and action figures? Here's a look at the trading card that they both come with. On the back, here is Lightning Lad / Garth Rand's bio. Well, they both come with lightning accessories, and we've seen these before. I mean, these aren't something that we need to take a close-up look at. They clip to the figure. I mean, we've been down that road before. They are of a different color. So this blue lightning is for the current contemporary Lightning Lad, while the yellow lightning is for the old school Lightning Lad. So that is kind of neat that they paid attention to that detail. They have different color lightning. Now, the current contemporary version being a black dude, I think the reason why they went with that decision is so that he would be more of a match in line with Black Lightning. Aside from the fact that I really would have liked to see this Lightning Lad as a ginger, they didn't do a bad job on the sculpt of the hair and the face paint, painting the eyes. Like, I think that they did a pretty sweet job on this. It's neat, it's tidy, and they did a great job on the contemporary Lightning Lad's face. I think that this looks great. Fantastic job. Changing the faceplates for Lightning Lad is actually fairly easy. There's just this little peg and this other little peg that fit inside the hole, and we get an alternate sort of angry Lightning Lad means business face sculpt. And then I think this one is supposed to be more or less like a, like a smiley face, I guess. It's really not that different than the previous one. It's a little different, but it's not really that pronounced. Oh, and just for those of you who don't know, the body buck for Lightning Lad is actually one that's been used many, 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 many times. It's been used for Nightwing, it's been used for Con-El, it's been used for John Kent, it's been used for Project Superman, it's been used over and over and over again. And then finally, we have both releases of Grid, a character who really hasn't been in the comics that much, but was definitely an obvious reuse for the way too big Cyborg action figure, because you got the feet and the legs and I believe the waist are all reused from Cyborg. I'm not sure about the rest of it. I don't have the collectibuild anymore. I gave it to a friend, but I definitely know that a good portion of this is actually a reuse from the collectibuild Cyborg from the Project Superman wave. And the only accessory that they each come with is a trading card with this dorky stand. Like, I used to think that these were a good idea, but I had so many of these, I threw a bunch of these out. Here's a close-up of that trading card, showing Grid on the front, same as the back of the box, as always. And as you can see here, with the data file, Grid was a software program that gathered information for Cyborg. The program grew and evolved into a living computer virus. In its new malevolent form, this sentient form of artificial intelligence attacked the Justice League, forming an alliance with Earth-3's crime syndicate. For its invaluable services, Grid demanded two things: a body, culled from the robotic prosthesis of Cyborg, and emotions, which was its ultimate goal. I don't usually read the card, but I figured I'd read that one. Now, I'm going to be honest and say that I don't know the significance of why Grid is green here. I have no idea. This is the platinum, so I guess the green signifies it being special. But yeah, other than the green color, right, the paint deco for these figures, they're the exact same figure. One thing that they did do with this figure that I do mention quite often is that the paint wash that they put on the front of this figure, they also continued on the back. And I'm not sure if you can see it. Can you see it there? Right there? I got a thumbprint in my paint. The end of this guy's cannon is green, and the end of the regular release is red. Personally, I do like the look of the regular release better than the platinum. I just think that it looks like the Terminator, and like, let's just get a good little peekaroo at his facial sculpt there. That's pretty awesome. That's actually really good. I like that. I like that very much so. Looks very menacing. And the amount of detail all over this guy is fantastic. They did a really great job with the sculpt of this guy. I probably won't keep both. I'm going to give the green one to a good friend of mine and just keep the regular release because I don't need two. But yeah, this guy looks friggin' beautiful. Okay, I actually have one more. It is the Shining Knight from the Seven Soldiers of Victory. Didn't know that this character existed? Neither did I. I always thought of Shining Knight as being the classic one with the red tunic and the round bull armor helmet on his head. That's Shining Knight to me. I don't know who this is. Here's a trading card that she comes with, and just looking at this makes me realize that I've got to read a bunch more information on her before I have any idea really who is she and what did she do with my Shining Knight. I suppose that, the best place that I could start would be the back of the card. Apparently her name is Justine, and she is a gender fluid immortal knight. Man, okay, I'm just gonna, you could pause to read the card if you want, because that's a lot. I don't want to read that. I mean, I do, I just don't want to read it right now for the video. I'm gonna read it after. If you're thinking that maybe you've seen this figure before, well, you have, for the most part. I mean, she's largely a reuse of this here Flashpoint Wonder Woman, except for Flashpoint Wonder Woman has a different piece of like chest armor, and the waist around her belt is also different in comparison to the Shining Knight. And also her like wrist gauntlets and her gloves are different, and of course her sword is different. Like where Wonder Woman here has like what the equivalent of would be like a cutlass, she's got a great big huge bastard sword. Heck, I would even call that, a straight up two-handed sword. And I just want to take a moment to appreciate the detail, because that is a pretty cool looking sword hilt. And this, I gotta say, is a pretty clever, pretty opportune reuse of the Flashpoint Wonder Woman body buck. I think it's great. Like, it definitely works. Having these gold boots and the chainmail on the legs, and then you got this piece here that goes around her waist. You got her armor right here for her chest piece with the big, I'm assuming that's an eagle or a falcon on the front. The pauldrons on top of her shoulder there attached by the chain, with the red cape that goes all the way across her back like that. And then you have that actually quite magnificent head sculpt. I think that looks good. And even though she's, you know, primarily reused parts, in a lot of ways, she's actually not that far off from looking accurate enough to the source material to keep someone like me happy. And let's face it, she's a deep cut. So if it wasn't for reused body parts, we never would have gotten this character. So that's pretty cool. And there you have it. We made our way through all of the figures. Do you see why I had to cut this down to its very bare bones kind of review? I didn't take any of the pictures I'm used to taking, like the ones for the end of the video that show the figure in various action poses, and I didn't take any of the close-ups of the body or the head, and I didn't even include pictures of the artwork and the box. I literally just recorded the basic bare bones video of the action figures and the trading cards and the things that they came with, and that was it. Because I had to knock off, what was it, 14 characters that I knocked off in 14 figures, because some of them I guess are platinums, 14 figures in one video. So, yeah, that was a lot. Anyway, I am glad that you made it all the way through. If you've made it here, you get the treat of being able to see my ugly mug, which doesn't happen as much anymore. And if you've watched the video from the beginning to the end, then now you've seen it twice in one day. So, you're super lucky.